Welcome to The Blind. It is season 2, episode 18, and man, it's some crazy weather going on. And we've got just the guy to talk about that because I think we're going to hit just about every season here in Arkansas in the next maybe 3 days. And we're going to dive all into that here in just a second. But all of you people out there that are hoping for spring, well, winter is coming. That's all I could say. So, Cam, hit that intro video, and we're going to get started with episode 18. We got Zachary Hall. Welcome to episode 18, and tonight will be a two-part episode as we've got Zachary Hall, our local storm tracker right here in Arkansas, joining us here in the first part of the episode, and then we'll speak with we'll have Joe Harris on with us from Blind Spot Outdoors, talk all about some duck blinds here in just a little bit. But as we said a few minutes ago, Zach, winter is coming.
It is indeed coming all at once, all at one time. We can't have, a spread out average winter. It's got to be all at one time, I guess. So,
Well, it's not how we learned in school, where you have the seasons that come and go, and
right.
everything comes in order, and
Yeah.
those days have come and gone. But look, enough with that. Introduce yourself. Tell everybody where you're from, and kind of you gave me a little background on you,
Yeah.
but give everybody at home a little background on you.
Well, first of all, thank you guys for having me on. I really appreciate that. For those who have zero clue who I am, my name is Zachary Hall. I am a professional storm chaser. That's a real thing. I do it for a living, and I've done so for around 3 years now. I live in western Arkansas in a small town called Greenwood near Fort Smith. I'm married. I've got a couple kiddos, and I am a weather nerd to the bone. I have been for a long time. But outside of that, I like to play golf. I like to fish. I like to hunt. But weather keeps me really busy, like times right now. This is probably as busy as I'll get for a minute until we hit spring, and then I get real busy when the storms really start cranking up. So,
And you said that you have done some duck hunting in your lifetime.
yeah, when I was crazy and I was in high school, I did. I stood in that frozen water, early in the morning. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, man. Me and some of my buddies in high school, we all played sports together. We duck hunted quite a bit, and we have flooded timber over here, and we did some of that, and we did some pond hopping. But man, good fun. Just froze, seemed like to death.
So where exactly are you located now?
So if you know where Fort Smith is, which is around an hour south of Fayetteville and 2 hours west of Little Rock, Fort Smith is right on the Arkansas-Oklahoma state line. And I live in a small town called Greenwood, which is about 20 minutes southeast of Fort Smith. It's really in the middle of nowhere, but you're somewhat close to Fort Smith, so I can't really say that. But real small town, population about 14,000 people. So
There's some good football up there in Greenwood.
they are a championship football. I actually went and graduated from a high school called Hackett, which is about 15 minutes west of here, and that's
Yeah.
really small
Oh
town,
yeah.
about
Yeah,
800,
yeah, yeah.
people. That's where I grew up and went to school. I didn't go to Greenwood, but me and my wife live in here. We live here in Greenwood now. It's really all the same out here, man.
Yeah.
A
I've
suburb of Fort
actually
Smith.
I've actually been duck hunting in Hackett before.
Well, there you
I
go. That's
can't
where
I
I grew
can't
up,
tell
man.
you can't tell you exactly where I was, but I did pass a sign that I was in Hackett, so I do know I was there.
Yep.
But so give us a little rundown on how somebody becomes a professional storm chaser or storm tracker.
Well, 5 or 6 years ago, it was really hard to do. I mean, you either had to be on TV or work with the Weather Channel or whatever. Um, And as time grew on and I got out of high school, I kept chasing, and I went into college and, went an emergency management route, but I never stopped chasing. I took all my work vacation and kept doing it, building social media. Social media was the key.
Hmm.
Once I hit, 100,000 plus followers on Facebook and started growing on TikTok and YouTube, businesses I noticed started noticing me more.
Yeah.
And they were real interested in working with me. And I told my wife, I said, "Man, I think I can make something out of this." And she's like, whatever, whatever you think. And like I told you before we got started, I got my ticket in 2020. There's a company here locally called Stu's Clean Cooking. It's a meal prep company.
Hmm.
And the owner reached out to me and was like, "What do you think about, why don't we partner up and do some stuff social media wise?" And the rest is history, man. Been doing it since. So,
And so, I mean, you're to be a storm tracker, a storm chaser.
yeah,
You're all over the place, and I mean, you live in a really good part of the state with Oklahoma there close to you and
yeah,
everything. I mean, you got plenty of storms to chase.
yeah. I stay busy, man. A lot of people might not realize Arkansas weather is my day job. That's what I tell people.
Hmm.
From 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. or later, some days, that's kind of like my day job. I work a lot in the state and do a lot of tracking, live tracking, but I travel all over. I do hurricanes and we'll do blizzards
Hmm.
and tornadoes in Kansas, and that has an avenue for me as well, more in the form of media sales and news coverage. And
Hmm.
but yeah, no, I travel all over the place, man. That Explorer out there has got some miles on it. So
Well, it's a pretty slick ride that you have.
thank you. It's actually fairly new. My other one got totaled in Iowa. Someone hit me. I was
I thought
driving
you were
out of
going
a
to say you
town.
got sucked
That's
up in a tornado.
No,
that's what
no,
I was thinking.
I've been in one before, but it was not on purpose, and it didn't total my car. Somebody else totaled my car. 18-year-old kid ran a couple stop signs and destroyed my old one. So I had to buy a new one, and I appreciate that though, man. We're proud of it. It's a reliable rig. So
Well, without further ado, I mean, of course, you and I, when we talked, we had planned on talking about winter weather. But while we've got you here, for the people that
yeah,
watch it tonight, we have some pretty crazy weather, or it could be
yeah.
weather coming in today or tonight on through into tomorrow morning. So why don't we just start there? Tell us what you're expecting or what you're seeing.
So we do have a lot of cold coming, and we've got winter weather coming. But yes, you're right. Tonight we have severe weather opportunities across a large part of the state late tonight into early tomorrow morning before that junk gets out of here. I think the highest probabilities for any severe weather is going to be in southwest Arkansas. Think like Arkadelphia, Texarkana, Hope, kind
Great.
of that area of the state.
Right where we
Yeah.
are.
Okay, well
Yeah.
that's probably your best bets for any organized storms tonight. I'm not sold that it's just an outbreak waiting to happen, but that
Mhm.
doesn't mean that we couldn't have a few storms that try to rotate or produce some gusty winds, maybe some large hail here and there. But this should be out of here by tomorrow morning, and then when that gets out of here tomorrow morning, the cold's coming, uh, and we actually have the potential for some snow in the western sections of the state. We have winter weather advisories up right now for northwest Arkansas, and we're going to have tornado watches here in a little bit, which means we're going to have both at the same time. So,
Wow.
So
yeah,
it's
gotta
not
love
a
it.
it's not a situation that you're chasing yourself to Texarkana tonight to try to get on it.
Normally I probably would, but
If I see your
man,
truck coming by, I know there's a problem. I need to take
yeah,
cover.
normally I would. I'd hit the rig and head south, but with storms not getting here until well after dark, guys, no offense to you guys, but that part of the state's hard to chase in. There's a lot of trees. The roads
Yeah.
aren't that
Yeah.
great for chasing. Cell service isn't the best. It's a death trap at times.
Yeah.
And storms are going to be moving 50, 60 miles an hour. I don't know what I would gain by going when I can stay home and help
Yeah.
from here. So, and we got snow tomorrow. I got to be up there for
Well,
that.
well, we
So,
appreciate you taking care of us down here, coming down here and making sure we know where the tornadoes are and
yeah.
everything.
Yeah. Well, man, I spent a lot of time down there last year. That was my second home. Hope, Arkadelphia. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, like I was telling you, I feel that because I'm in the insurance business. So you
We
probably
know.
did spend a lot of time down here last year.
Yeah, definitely.
So
Excuse
do
me.
you run a live feed or something on Facebook or YouTube or something like that whenever there's severe storms?
Yeah, so I usually do YouTube. YouTube is the easiest avenue to stream live. Facebook is better suited for if I'm out covering it. If I get anything worthy to post on social media, I will do so, and then I'll send people to my stream link for YouTube.
Yeah.
And I do a lot on Twitter, X now, whatever you want to call it. It's great for live updates and coverage. News outlets can retweet your stuff and get it sent out to airwaves. But yeah, YouTube is my main focal point when I'm out on the road. People can get in there and ask questions too. They can comment, and I try my best to help people if they have questions.
So if people are looking for you on YouTube, they'll find just look your name up or Arkansas Storm Tracker, or
yeah, if you live
how
in
do they find you?
Arkansas, if you live in Arkansas and you want to be kept up to date with Arkansas related weather, you need to follow Zachary Hall, Arkansas Storm Tracker on YouTube. And then, of course, Facebook as well. I post multiple times a day, every day on Facebook. So,
Yeah. Well, that's where I came across you. I started following you a little while back, and
thank you.
you put stuff out all the time, and that's why,
Yeah,
it's intriguing to see. You can watch, nothing against, the meteorologists and all that kind of
sure.
thing, but it's the same old thing all the time. But you're out in the field, you're traveling around doing stuff, and that's kind of what caught my eye. And then when I was thinking about this winter weather coming, I was like, man, it would be cool to talk to someone that actually
Yeah.
knows a little more about it than we do.
Well, I appreciate you following. Facebook is great because it allows me, easy access to talk to people who follow me. And
Hmm.
guys, I'm just so thankful that I've had success and it's growing like it is. But I'm just a normal dude from small town Arkansas. I am nothing special. And I think that personality kind of rhymes well with people because, like you said earlier, man, the news is the news. I've got good friends that work in the news. That's also, in my opinion, it's kind of phasing out a little bit. Our generation, I feel like, is better suited with social media.
Hmm.
So maybe that's why it works. I don't know, but I love doing it, and I don't want to stop anytime soon.
Well, more people, our age are catching weather
Yeah,
through social media now than watching the
Right.
6 o'clock news.
I
You
I
know?
can't tell you the last time I watched the news.
Yeah, yeah.
I just don't. So
Well, so let's not hold it off any longer. Let's jump into this winter weather because
okay,
I know you're probably excited about it because you like this kind of stuff. But I know, there's a lot of unknowns. So why don't you kind of tell us, I guess right now what you're seeing, and let's just kind of dive off into it.
well, I do like cold weather. I'm not a huge fan of the pot bursting cold,
Yeah.
but I like cold. I'm not a huge snow guy. It's whatever. My kids like it though, so I'll be okay. But yeah, looking at the data, I looked at some before I hopped on with you guys. It seems like today has been pretty mild, but there's going to be some changes as we roll into this weekend, especially tomorrow. Yeah, as we roll into tomorrow, it's going to be pretty cold. On Saturday, there's some split decisions on the models on whether or not the northern half of the state stays pretty cold. The southern half, is kind of mild. But guys, by Saturday night into Sunday, no one's safe from the cold. We're all going to turn really really cold. Sunday, it's likely that Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening we're going to have a system that arrives from the west and brings some snow with it, guys. And it's going to be snowing. It's going to be 20 degrees, 10 degrees outside. So if we get an inch, 4 inches, 3 inches, it doesn't really matter. It's all going to stick to everything. And that could cause its own set of issues. But regardless of the snowfall, the cold's going to be here and it ain't going anywhere for a few days. A large part of the state will likely be at or below freezing till at least Wednesday.
Yeah.
And guys, I'm not talking a warm up on Wednesday. I'm saying we might get to just above freezing, maybe
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
afternoon. And then on Thursday, I think will be the first day, Thursday of next week, will be the first day where we might moderate a little bit, where the air mass kind of moderates and we maybe get into the 40s. But there's signals that we could have a reinforced shot of cold air on Thursday night into Friday, which could put us back in the freezer for a couple days. So this week in general, when you're talking temperatures, is going to be extremely below average than normal.
Hmm.
Guys, around this time of year, our highs are usually in the 40s or low 50s. That's very average for us. We're going to be nowhere near that this week, most of the week.
Yeah.
And there is a very good possibility that some parts of our state, especially the northern half, could be below freezing for more than 96 hours. And that's pretty rare for Arkansas. That only
Hmm.
happens in the dead of winter. This isn't Minnesota. So um, it looks really cold. If you're into hunting and you like being cold, then this weather's going to be for you. So
We like it being cold, and we've been praying for cold air, but I don't know if we're ready for what's about to happen.
yeah,
I don't know
it's
if we
going to be
want it to
cold.
get that cold.
Yeah.
So do you track mostly just around here, or do you kind of know what's going on around the whole U.S.? I guess you have to kind of know a little bit, but maybe not too much in depth. Or
Well, A lot. So some people might not know, but these systems that we deal with, they don't just pop up like this system we're talking
Right.
about for Sunday, the snow and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, that's not going to hit the Pacific Northwest coast until Saturday midday. So I'm tracking
Mm-hmm.
it right now in the Pacific, and but yes, outside of Arkansas, I do keep a close eye on other weather patterns once because I might go after it if it makes sense for me business wise to do so. Uh, but like I stated earlier, Arkansas is my day job. If we've got snow in the state, I'm probably going to be there covering it live and on Facebook. Generally, if we have tornadoes and they're not at 3 a.m., I'm probably going to be there. But yeah, Arkansas is my focus, my daily focus. But yeah, I travel
Mm-hmm.
outside the state and track stuff. Every morning, I get on my computer and kind of see what's trending, what's going on, what's coming up.
Do you collaborate with any of the meteorologists in Arkansas if there's severe storms and you're on the ground seeing what's going on? And do you talk to them in the studio and kind of let them know what you're seeing? Or
Yeah, a lot of times I do. I don't work for any respective news station. I do this in a professional manner by myself. But yeah, no, one of my best friends, James Bryant, works for KATV in Little Rock. I did a news briefing with him today on Facebook and stuff. We work together a lot. I work with some stations in Northwest Arkansas, but yes, I do my best to work with any news station, especially if it has to do with life saving information. I don't
right?
know if you guys remember, but the Wynn, Arkansas tornado back in March
Mm-hmm.
of this year, me and my partner Frankie, we were one of the first ones into town when it was arriving, and we were able to get those airwaves out that there was a large destructive tornado coming into town, and working with news stations and the National Weather Service offices and stuff. That's my first goal is to try to keep people forewarned. That's the whole reason I do it, and social media gives me that opportunity. So, excuse me.
So back to tonight. And let's
Yeah.
let's let's go back just real quick. So there's a possibility of some strong weather, but you're not saying that, you know, it's going to happen.
No, I mean, there's no guarantees. There's a lot. There's failure modes that can occur. There can be too many storms, storm to storm interactions. The thermodynamics of the system itself. Storms need storm fuel to work with, and there's a little bit. There's enough, but I don't know if it's going to be just enough. If it's
Mm-hmm.
going to be too little. The wind fields that are so necessary for storms to rotate and remain organized are pretty strong. So
Right.
that's one reason why in the back of my head I'm saying, man, Zach, the kinematics on this are strong, and I think that could make up for the the lack of thermodynamics. And but yes, I do think it's very possible that we could see a few strong storms that rotate. I wouldn't be surprised in the least if we see a few tornado warnings tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but guys, I'm not sold, and I may eat my words on this later, and that's fine. But I'm not sold this is going to be some tornado outbreak.
Yeah.
But that doesn't really matter. If it impacts one person, it's significant, regardless of
Yeah.
what people think. So my
It's
goal is to
just
make
wild.
sure.
It's just wild to be in January and talking about having hail and
Yeah,
tornadoes, and
I
then going
know.
from 65 to 8 in the next 5 days. Like
I know.
our weather is just insane.
Arkansas loves to throw a wrench in things, man. I've learned that. They
So
love to throw a
so
wrench in things.
what causes that? What causes? I mean, we are in our winter months. I mean, of course,
Sure.
it's not frigid cold by any means, but it's not 95 outside. You
Right.
know, or it's not springtime or whenever we usually see stuff like this. So what
Yeah.
brought this on? What makes this happen?
Well, right now we've got a mid-latitude cyclone that's going to be passing to the north of Arkansas, a low pressure system. As that system passes to the north of Arkansas, it draws southerly winds to it.
Mm-hmm.
So we are currently under the influence of southerly winds at the surface. Guys, south of here, Louisiana, the Gulf of Mexico is generally mild, temperate. So that's what ushers in that warm, moist air. But the moment that this system passes to the east, we're going to get the wraparound, the backside of the low pressure. That's where it's going to be drawn in the cold air from Nebraska and Kansas. That's where you get this wraparound cold on the backside, warm on the southeast side. That warm air, as we all know, even in the winter months, if we get warm enough and the wind fields are right and there's some moisture, severe weather, thunderstorms, and stuff like that, it's usually short lived in the winter, where in the spring this is normal. But yeah, if you get a strong enough system, even in the wintertime, and it's positioned correctly for us, it can warm up to 60, even 70 degrees sometimes. So,
So, and I know this is kind of a, I'm sure you don't have an answer for sure because I don't think anybody
okay.
really knows. But what is going on with the weather? Why are we just now at the end of January going to finally get some cold weather in the state of Arkansas. I mean, and even on up into Canada and everything. I mean, is it global warming? Is it what? I mean, was Al Gore
There's been a
on
lot
to
of
something
talk about
back?
the El Nino too.
Yeah. So
Yes.
let's hit on that because you're involved in all that a lot more than we
Yeah.
are. But what's your opinion on all of it?
Well, the reason why it's been so mild is because we've had a mild, what we call a mild Pacific jet. And essentially, the jet stream has been fairly mild in the form of coming off the northern Pacific, flooding Canada. Canada has been very above average. And he said it just a second ago, El Nino is likely responsible for that.
Mhm.
Guys, when we're under the impression of El Nino, it is very normal to have warm Decembers, but you usually flip on a dime into January, February, and so on. That's exactly what's happened. Guys, it's been since winter officially started in late December, the 21st or 22nd or whatever.
Mhm.
I mean, from that moment on up into Christmas, I mean, it's been pretty, outside of today and maybe a couple of days, it's been pretty chilly.
Yeah.
You know, right at or below average, nothing too crazy. But yeah, a lot of it is under the influence of El Nino, having that mild Pacific jet. Canada, we get a lot of cold air source from Canada and the northern parts, the northern latitudes, but there hasn't been a whole lot of cold air available.
Yeah.
So that's a big reason why. And as far as climate change goes, yeah, I mean, I think the climate changes. I think it's always changed. I don't know what the influence is. I'm not a climatologist.
So
I'm not here to say.
Basically, what you're saying is global warming is not real.
No, I mean, I absolutely think I absolutely think that there are, like, especially other parts. Like I tell people all the time, we live in our own little worlds, and I'm guilty of
Yeah.
it. It's going to be really cold here this next week, guys. But there's another part of our globe that is not cold. There's always a direct correlation across the globe. I'm just saying, I'm not here to say that I know what the cause of a little bit of warming around the globe is. I don't know, and I'm not a political figure, so I don't ever get into it because it really doesn't benefit me any. But
Yeah.
what I do know is that Arkansas weather is wild, it's wacky, and it keeps me on my toes. And this is just another example of how crazy it can get around here.
So before we let you go, because we know you got plenty to do, because there's a lot going on tonight in the state of Arkansas. we know you're going to be busy, but give us a rundown again of this cold weather that's coming, and maybe what we should expect over the next 7 days or however far you want to go.
Yeah. Well, like I said earlier, I think the biggest thing to take note of is that today is our last widespread mild day across the whole state. So if you're listening to North Arkansas, East, South, wherever you are, today was it, because tomorrow it's going to get colder. And then Saturday, there is a chance that some of the state, the southern half maybe kind of is a little bit more mild in the 40s. But Saturday night into Sunday is when things really change for everyone. If you are in Arkansas and you're listening to this, Saturday night into Sunday is when the cold really arrives, it settles in, and it's not going anywhere for several days. On Wednesday of next week, we might get to freezing, maybe slightly above for some. Thursday might be the very first day that we really can say, like, okay, this is progress, upper 30s, low 40s, maybe. But then, like I said earlier, after Thursday, there are some signals that we might get a reinforced shot of cold air and put us right back to where we started for a few more days. It might not last as long, but this week in general looks very below average, including the weekend. So don't expect any prolonged warm-ups over the next 10 days. We'll just put it that way.
So the weather is looking good for migrating birds.
I would think so. I don't know a whole lot about how ducks work and how their migration patterns go, but you would think that they would have the ability to migrate south whenever this significant. I mean, we're talking, guys, it's going to be cold here, but up in Montana and North Dakota, it's going to be horrible.
I would think
Southern
they would
Canada.
have to go somewhere. They've got to leave.
I mean, they got to leave, and I mean, don't get me wrong, they're going to come down here. It's going to be cold too, but survivable cold for them, I guess. I don't know. I don't know a whole lot about that. So, but yeah, I'd say there's a pretty good chance if you're duck hunting, you run into a few ducks for sure.
Or freeze to death, one of the two.
Or freeze to death. Yeah, that too. Yeah, take care of yourself, guys. Bundle up for sure.
Well, man, look, we know you're busy, and we appreciate what you do.
Yeah.
If you don't follow Zach on Facebook, he's got a YouTube channel, but I'm sure on Facebook, if you're watching live right now or you listen to our podcast later on, go over to his Facebook page and look him up. I'm sure you could find his YouTube there. He'll be sharing stuff on there. We'll also share a link on the Blinds Facebook page. and you can find Zach and not only just stay up on this upcoming winter weather that we've got, but just all of weather around the state of Arkansas. He does it all year round and does it 7 days a week, or he probably wishes it was 5, but usually those storms blow in on the weekend, make you have to work a little more. So, but we appreciate what you do, keeping us all informed and the way that you do it. I think, like you said, this is the new way of getting your weather and stuff like that. So make sure you go over and follow Zach on social media, and congratulations, man, just from growing the way that you have. I mean, you've got one heck of a following, and it's constantly growing. And so, man, congrats on that.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys so much. And if anyone is listening, you can follow me on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, all that stuff. And I'd be glad to help. If you ever need any help, I'd be glad to do so. But thank you guys so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. I need to come duck hunt with you guys sometime.
Yeah. Well, maybe this cold weather will push some crazy weather down here in the Texarkana area, and maybe you have to come down here, and maybe you can shoot. Hey, you can shoot one of your videos to give the weather update from one of the duck hole.
I would be okay with that. That sounds like a good time to me. So,
well, man, we sure do appreciate it. We know you're busy. We'll let you get off of here and keep us all updated on what's going on.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much.
Yep, no problem at all. So,
well,
thanks,
look, buddy.
We're going to take a short commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to talk some duck blinds with Joe Harris from Blind Spot Outdoors. And so when we come back, we're going to hop right on the duck hunting. We'll be right back on episode 18 right here on The Blind. Well, welcome back to The Blind. It is episode 18, and as we promised you, it is a 2-part episode, and now we're going to dive off into a little more duck hunting, and we'll probably have to talk about some goose hunting because I think my man Joe likes to shoot those geese, but he makes some really, really top-notch blinds, and so we're going to dive off into that. But now joining us is Joe Harris from Blind Spot Outdoors. Joe, can you hear us?
Yep, I think I can get you. I had a little technical difficulty there, but I think we made it work.
Well, we got you now. You're loud and clear. So what's going on in your part?
Well, I had to come to my wife's school or classroom where she teaches school here and get some good connections to the rural area here. So I had to come to the school and do some work here. So, but no, man, we're getting ready for this cold front, just like what you guys were talking about. Like, we're done. Our duck season's over here, and our south zone of Missouri, which is not too far south from me, but there's really, on this side of the state, I'm on the west side of the state, there's really not too much duck habitat south of me that I'd chase the south zone very much. But I got some farm stuff and stuff like that, and they're talking Monday it's supposed to be like a -30 wind chill and a low of like -11. So just kind of prepping a bunch of stuff and making sure everything's ready to go and putting diesel treatment and everything that's got diesel. And I'd also, besides building blinds, I take care of 3 duck properties too. And so like just went around and just got kind of checking all their stuff too, just the last couple of days. So I really even haven't worked on any blinds, but we've been doing hunting related stuff and just kind of getting ready for all this stuff.
Well, Joe,
for your goose season still in?
Go ahead.
Yeah, our goose season, our Canadian goose season and white front season goes till February the 6th. And so
you're still chasing those.
Yeah, I haven't even shot a goose yet this season. I take that back. We shot some specks over some ducks here right after Christmas, but it's been so mild. I'm south of Kansas City, and so what happens is Kansas City holds so many honkers that we need them to get snow and get really, really cold. Like what's going to happen for us to get it really good. I mean, we have a little local population, but when it gets good here, not that it's like crazy good, but here locally, like it can get decent. I mean, it can get decent for a couple of days. We just take advantage of it when it's good.
Joe,
I
for
just wonder,
everybody
like,
that doesn't know you, tell everybody where you're from and what your business is and everything before we jump all into this.
So, I'm Joe Harris, Blind Spot Outdoors. I started in 2017, and how we got started was the backstory of all this is I had a major back surgery in 2016, I guess it was, or 2015, and I was down for 9 months on my back. I got my back fused and some stuff like that, and
Oh.
I've always been in the outdoors, and I thought of an idea in a duck, or actually in the deer hunting industry, and went and got a patent pending on it, and I had to have an LLC to start that. And so I started an LLC, and we got a patent pending on that product, and it never really ever took off because my heart wasn't in deer hunting, so it was in waterfowl hunting. And I had a really good friend of mine that just always pushed me and everything. He's like, man, we built some blinds. He's like, man, I think these will work. These will work. These will work. And so we went to Game Fair, and we sold a hard paneled A-frame. And that's how I got started in 2017. We were selling a hard panel A-frame, and I did really well with that, but it just never was enough to do full time. And then right here locally from where my shop's at, we got within a 40-mile radius away the crow flies, there's about 160 duck clubs or duck properties. We're pretty rich in that area. And so I had some guys that wanted a blind that could be moved around, that could float. They like to be able to pull it down a levee, but they, kind of like a boat, but just they didn't want to pull aluminum down a levee. And so we came up with a concept of making a floating skid blind, and we're using a dock pod, a foam filled dock pod. And I didn't know what it was going to do. And I built it. My dad was a welder, and so I just kind of followed suit with him a little bit. I was actually working in the explosives industry full time, and I started building a couple here and there, and just caught on like wildfire. And a year later, I quit my job and kind of took the leap of faith, and that was in 2018. And here we are, or 2019, I guess, full time. 2019, fall of 2019, full time, and now it's 365 days a year duck blinds for me.
Well, you've come a long way from that original A-frame, hadn't you?
Yeah, it is. It is. It is. It is. The crazy part is I don't even own one of those anymore. I want some back. I just don't have time to build my own stuff. This is the first year that I've actually built some of my own stuff to hunt out of, to tell you the truth. At the end of last year, I've always had a concept of I wanted a drop axle trailer blind, and I've always thought it'd be cool to build. And so I built my own last year, and we hunted out of it three or four times and shot geese out of it. And then I've actually sold a couple of those since then to some guys. But that was the first thing I had built one for my best friend, my partner I hunt with all the time, my best buddy. I built one for a place that he leased, and so I hunted out of it that blind a little bit here and there. He's got the very first one, and he lost the lease on that place, and I actually just got that blind back, so I actually own it now. So I have the very first one I ever built.
Well, the first time that I met you was this past year. And I had heard about you and followed you on social media and stuff like that from our good friend Christian Frierson. And see, you got my DP hat on tonight.
His product, that thing, I don't like letting too many secrets out because I'm still public. I'm still chasing on the public pretty hard. But that thing is an absolute game changer. I mean,
yeah,
it is. I don't know. I probably use it 95% of my hunts this year, even in the wind. I mean, it was nuts. It is a complete game changer.
Well, and before I had met you, I had hunted out of one of your blinds at Christian's place.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, when you talk about well made, I mean, things that Garrett and I would dream about making. We can barely make a peanut butter sandwich, but much less a duck blind. But man, these things are nice. We're going to get into that a little bit more, but met you at the Delta Waterfowl Expo.
Yep.
Garrett was in the hospital there in Little Rock having a baby at the time,
Yep.
so he didn't get to be there with us. But
have that.
we went to the Shin party, and then and hung out some of the rest of the night and everything. I really enjoyed meeting you and your wife, and had a really good time. And I told Christian after we got back, I was like, man, I really like that guy. And Christian said, well, I like his wife better. He said, she's more fun.
Yeah, I think that maybe that last night we were there, that the evening entertainment, the piano bar we went to, I think everybody might have knew who we were when we left.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
We had a great time, but
we had a good time. That was I hate to say it, but that might have been the last time I had that much fun, because I came back and that show kicked my tail, and we came back and put our heads down, and I never looked up till I finally got our last blind. It was bad. We had some tough times, not tough times there, but just got bombarded with work, and we got our last blind out for the year the week before Christmas. So
yeah. Well, and I mean, you make some really good blinds. Garrett's hunted one of your blinds, and so I mean, we both firsthand can tell people, you know, what
They're
they're
very
about and
nice.
everything, and so
Very nice. Very comfortable.
Christian is Christian's one of those guys that I met. I just called this weird deal. Like I met him called him over the phone and started making a chit chat with him, and then led to a friendship. We never even shook hands or saw each other in person, and became a pretty good relationship over the phone. And he has been very instrumental in the design of the timber style blinds. I mean, if it wasn't for him on the timber style blinds, I mean, we probably would have something out now, but not as far as advanced as we are now without
yeah.
him. I mean, he has been very instrumental in that timber style blind.
Well, it's pretty nice. We're gonna get into that here in just a second. We're gonna talk about all the different blinds and things that you offer. But we got to take a couple commercial breaks to show some love to our sponsors throughout tonight. So let's take a commercial break real quick. It'll only be 30 seconds or a minute, and when we come back, we're gonna dive into the different kind of blinds that you make. So we'll be right back.
Sounds good.
I thought we may get a little shot of your blind in there, but you know that's an old commercial. We're gonna have to get with Christian and get him to make a new one. He was still wearing those old banded waders in that thing.
I went down there with him during their split, and I went down there and helped him. And you know, I've been down at his place before, and I hadn't hunted down there yet, and which I'm going to get with him on that. He still owes me on that. But we were down there, and it's something totally new to us, to me. But we go down to that his cypress break, and he's like, we get in there, and my buddy that helps me do the land management stuff was with me, and he goes, now remember that there could be alligators in here. And I'm like, both me and him looked there like, my buddy like, what? That's totally foreign to us. Like last time I saw
we got them down here
in Springfield.
Yeah. That he and I just went and hunted that blind and that cypress break a couple days back, and it was only us two in that blind, so we felt like we were in a hotel. You know, it's so
next to that
so big
next to that big cypress tree.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm the one that talked him into putting it in that spot.
Yeah. Well, that's a good spot. That's a great spot. So, but let's talk about your blinds, because I truly don't know what all you offer, because the only ones I've ever seen was either at the show or you know, hunting over at Christian's place, and I've seen a couple of those. But you know, what all do you offer?
So our staple is the floating skid blind, and what we offer in the floating skid blind line is we offer what I call a traditional high-low style blind, or G style. Some people call it lower front, higher back, with a bench in it. When you stand up, you can still shoot out the back if you want to. We offer that in a 12x6 and a 17x6. And when I say, when we give our dimensions of a 12x6 or 17x6, that is your hunt space. That doesn't count your dog box. So like a 12x6 blind, total length is actually a little over almost 16 foot long once you add the dog boxes to it. And our dog boxes are walk through. So we do a 12x6 high low and a 12x6 17 or 17x6 high low. And then we build a 12x6 timber style, and then a 17x6 timber style, which is like what Christian has with the circle
Mhm.
porch, real tall. You almost stand up in it to hunt, or a lot of guys sit on bar stools or something like that in it.
Mhm.
Hunt on the front third. You can't see out the back. It's a straight timber style, a lot of vertical cover
Mhm.
style blind. Um, um, got very, very, very um, a lot of good feedback on those blinds. And the second year we built 75% high low blinds and everything. The last couple of years, it's been a lot of timber blinds. I mean, but our market in Arkansas and Louisiana and Mississippi and even here in Missouri now, a lot of guys are doing some timber here. Like that blind's is selling quite a bit, and it does really good for us. Now we also do straight skid blinds. But when we build a skid blind or any of our blinds, like we build at a different level. Like, and I'm not trying to take away from anybody else's blinds, but like we put Trex decking in them. Um, we everything's welded good, strong. Like we want our blinds to last you years. And if you lose a lease or sell a place, you might be able to sell our blinds on Facebook Marketplace or something like that, or flip them, get your money back out of them in a couple of years, or hunt them for a couple of years and switch it out. We want to build something that lasts and lasts forever, and we can stand behind.
Yeah.
And I feel like we've done that pretty well. Um, but we've also done a ton of custom stuff. I built a blind for a guy in Arkansas this year that was 20 foot long, 7 foot wide, with a 20 or 8 foot by 20 foot boat garage on the back of it, floating skid. I mean, with a full kitchenette in the back of it. So you kind of dream it, we can kind of do it.
That's my kind of
Um,
blind. That's my kind
yeah,
of blind.
yeah, it was. I mean, I've had some guys on the timber styles that went 7 foot wide on them, so they could literally physically put outdoor couches in the back of them. And on a 12 footer, 12x7, what they would do is they'd hunt five guys up in the front, and then you have like an outdoor couch in the back, and have two guys hanging out in the back and a Blackstone, and you got 7 dudes in there. But when you're hunting ducks and timber, I mean, not very rarely you're gonna have 7 guys shooting anyways. You got 5 guys
Mhm.
shooting is quite a bit. So um, I mean, we kind of do it all, and then we dabbled in the trailer blind, in the drop axle trailer blinds a little bit, and I got a couple customers that are probably going to do something like that in that market this year a little bit. Um, and then we got our newest thing that we're coming out with. I'm really excited about, and we really just put a teaser out about it here lately, and I didn't expect the response that we got. Was our new floating A-frame
Mhm.
blind, and that blind's going to be. We'll have more come out with it here sooner than later, but it's not as comfortable um, as our floating skid
Mhm.
blinds because you have to stand in the water. But I hate to call it this way, but it's a killer's blind. Like you're going to take that blind, grass it, and you're going to go put it right on the X, and you're going to be hid, and you're going to shoot ducks right square. Like that's what what the design of it is for. It's not nothing you're going to go sit for 5 hours in and be comfortable. No, you're going to float that thing right where you want it, and you're going to square them up, and you're going to get them. So,
It
but that
sounds
that
like something
blind
we
is
would be interested in.
Yeah,
Something
we
the
we
may
might
float.
be able to use.
yeah, we may have to
Yeah,
get with you.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna be real interesting.
We just
It's
got to
it's
figure out where the X is. That's our problem right now.
well, if this
There
cold's
is
right, man,
no X.
if this cold's right, you guys ought to be seeing something coming up. I mean, we got quite a few ducks here, and they were feeding up hard tonight, and we're like everybody else, we're drought realistically, and um, all the water that we do, a lot of the duck water that we have open right now is shallow, so it's gonna take nothing for it to freeze up.
Well, and
So
that's I hope they show up because kind of the running joke between Christian and I is for 2 weeks I'll just randomly text him they coming, and he always sends back a head shaking or something like that. And I've been telling him for 2 weeks, and so I'm hoping that maybe it makes me look like I'm right because I've been
Is that
telling
your
him they're
strategy?
coming.
If you just say it long enough,
If
eventually
I
it'll
if I
happen.
if I
yeah, you
wait it
build it, they
out
will
long
come.
enough, that's
It's
right.
That's
the
If
right.
it's a field of
so
dreams aspect. No,
yeah.
I text him. I text him. What's today? Today Wednesday. I think I text him Monday a screenshot of the weather for down there where his place is at. A screenshot. I was like, "Hey, do you need me to bring my ice rippers down for you when I come down to hunt this week?" And he just LOL is all I got back from him.
We need to talk to Christian. We need to get him to get one of those 7-foot wide. So when me and Brian are hunting and we're swapping out, we can swap out flipping eggs and shooting ducks.
That's right. That's
But hey, I
right.
got a question. I was wondering about how shallow will those floating blinds float?
So the 12-footers, I recommend 10 inches of water. Depends on your vegetation too, but like 10 inches of water on the 12-footers. The 17's got a little bit more weight to them. That Trex weighs quite a bit. So that a foot. And I mean, Christian, he had one of my blinds, I think, before, I think in dang near 4 foot of water. So what we do, our design is you float it from point A to point B. It's not a legitly 100% floating blind. So you float it from point A to point B, and then in all four corners we have a, a marsh foot that goes down and stabilize. It's a stabilizing foot, and we call it a marsh foot. And there's on those that pole or that piece of square tube that goes down on your marsh foot. There is a actual hole every inch and a half.
Yeah.
And so what you can do is you get that thing up. We tell everybody have nobody in the blind, nothing in the blind, float it to where you want it, get it either tied off to a tree or anchor it somehow like that, and then have two. Realistically, you want two guys and one guy to pick up on the blind a little bit, and you drop that marsh foot all the way down to the ground and you pin it. So then when everybody goes in the blind, then that blind stabilizes and it's pretty rock solid. I mean, you guys hunted in it. I mean, you get enough guys in it. It's got a little bit of movement to it, but nothing like
I
pontoon
don't recall
boat or
seeing
something like that.
feeling any movement.
Yeah, they'll have a little bit of movement.
I thought it was stationary.
It all depends on your bottom. Like up here where we're flooding a lot of impoundments and stuff like that. We got a pretty hard bottom on some places, but then you get some places like guys in these cypress breaks or in these willow sloughs, stuff like that never get water off of them. You can have a pretty mushy bottom. I got a customer in Michigan that he had a really soft bottom, like really bad soft bottom. And so we come up with a plan on his. What they actually did was he took pallets. He took a pallet out where he was going to have his blind. He knew his blind was going to be in a relatively same spot where he thought he was going to hunt it all the whole year. Floated it in. He could never get a permanent blind there because the water never came off. So he floated it in, and then he actually dropped a pallet down and then stuck the marsh foot on top of the pallet so that the marsh foot wouldn't sink way down into the mud. And then that kept it rock solid. And I mean, yeah. And then I had a guy in Minnesota that he actually bought a blind from me and put it in when they had ice on their marsh in a big cattail slough. He's like, there's no way I can walk that thing out there and get in there. So they slid it out on the ice when it froze over and anchored it. And then when the lake thawed out, it got down to water and they anchored it, and it's been there ever since.
Well, and that's what I was going to bring up was the legs that it has on it. I mean, it is the most stable floating blind that I have ever hunted in. Garrett had a floating blind one time and had to go to the hospital after he jumped out of it while it was flipping over. But nonetheless, that's a story for another day. But yeah, you got on it before I could. But we went out one morning, decided for the wind that's not where we wanted the blind. We got out, pull the pin, pick the leg up, stick the pin back in, pull it. I mean, it just goes as easy as you could do. I mean, just you move it to where you want it, drop it down, pick up on it a little bit, stick that pin back in there. And I mean, we did all of this in the dark in about 10 minutes. It's not something that you have to do the day before unless you just want to, but I mean, it's not, Garrett's wife doesn't want me to get on his hospital visit, but we'll make sure we tell that one day. But
yeah, we can tell that another day.
It was so well designed that you could do that, not planning on doing it. You didn't go out any earlier, but you had enough time to do it because it was that efficient.
Well, how many times this was one of the instances we built it, designed it the way we did is how many times you sit in a blind and the guy on the far right, the way the ducks are working that day, for some reason, the way they're working the decoys, you can move whatever which way, but the guy on the far right, the guy on the far left, he could shoot every duck squared up every time he comes in. But if you just move that blind just a little bit which way, then everybody's going to square up and shoot. And that's
Yeah.
the thing. Like, we'll catch ourselves a lot of times leaving 1 foot down and just spinning that blind 2 foot. And then all of a sudden it opens up a shot for everybody. Or, I mean, like Christian's done it. I mean, didn't like the way, rather than moving decoys, move the blind. You know?
Well, but the design, when people hear that, you think, well, that's too much work. I can't get out there and do it in the morning. But the way that you have yours designed, you can do that. Like you can move it within five minutes. I mean, it's very
Mid-hunt,
easy
you can
to
make
do
a
it.
change.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you hit it. We turned it one day out there because it just wasn't right where we wanted it. So we jumped out, pulled the pins, turned it, stuck it back in. We were right back in hunting in 5 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, you shoot into a group of birds and 2 guys can move it while the other guys are picking birds up or something. I mean, it takes a little bit at first to get used to that. And you're gonna get your hands wet a little bit, but we're duck hunting. You're gonna get your hands wet. I mean, there's no way to keep from it. But that was our whole design. We wanted to have the mobility because these ducks are so smart these days. I mean, I preach it all the time on our properties we manage. Don't hunt the same spot every day. I mean, there's some traffic holes that you can get by with hunting every day. Just running traffic up here the way we kind of run traffic on some spots, but you're not going to get them in the same spot every day. And if you can move that blind, you hunt on a Tuesday and you with a south wind, and then say Friday, you're going to hunt Friday, but you got a north wind. Well, it's going to be nothing when you guys get done hunting. Throw all your decoys in it and pick it up and move it where you need to go. And you come back the next day, it's there. And if the weatherman was wrong, and it's got northwest in it, well, then all you gotta do is pull one leg and square it up a little bit more, and you're golden to go. I mean, we had a customer that's place we take care of that has one of my blinds on it, and he was coming down to hunt the other day, and I timed it. I set a timer on my phone. We went and pulled the pins, moved it 200 yards, and set it. Now this is me and my partner that we do the land management stuff with. We pulled it and pinned it, pulled the blind, moved it 200 yards, and set it back in 22 minutes.
Yeah.
And I was walking 200 yards through knee deep water.
Yeah. And I mean, it's when you hear this, like I said, it's almost to the point where you don't believe it unless you see it, because it is that efficient. And I think
especially for a blind that size, you're used
Right.
to just seeing it sitting there and it never moves for 30 years.
Yeah.
Yep.
But,
For sure.
Well, look, let's take one more short break, and when we come back, let's talk some hunting. When we come back, let's talk about how your season was. Hopefully, it was a little better than ours. And but the good thing is, your duck season is over, and ours, we still have some days left. So I guess that's good for us.
I live close enough to Kansas. Kansas goes till the 26th, and they open back up on Monday or Saturday. So as long as they don't get too cold, I ain't done yet.
I hear you. Well, let's take a little short break. When we come back, we're going to have our final segment of the night. We're going to talk some duck hunting and goose hunting with Joe Harris from Blind Spot Outdoors. We'll be right back. Well, we've got the blind man with us, and I don't mean because he can't see. We've got Joe Harris with us from Blind Spot Outdoors, and he is the duck blind man. And well, I guess for
seems
geese
appropriate
or whatever,
for us having the blind podcast to have the blind guy on.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
that's
exactly. It's
right.
overdue.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about duck season, because we are. I mean, I don't know. It may be wishful thinking, Garrett. I don't know, but we just keep hoping it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And Garrett and I,
it's going to be this week.
We've said that
over the next.
If
week.
We've said it once, we've said it 100 times over the last couple of days. If it's going to happen, it's about to happen.
Now.
But let's talk about your duck season up. Do you only hunt in Missouri?
So where I live south of Kansas City, Missouri, probably an hour and 15 minutes roughly, and towards the Kansas side. So I have some customers in Kansas, so I jump over to Kansas and hunt over there a little bit. And in Kansas, you can shoot 5 mallards, so that totally changes the game over there to us.
Well, we've been to Kansas and we didn't shoot any mallards.
It was terrible.
Yeah,
Terrible.
I
Won't
mean
go back.
it was a tough year. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like, right here close to us, and we manage a couple properties. Like, there was a time in October, like we didn't think we were gonna get water, to put, we had clubs here locally that we had to pump everything. A lot of places had to pump everything, depend on pumping out of the river or out of a water source. And we didn't think, I knew guys that didn't have water at Thanksgiving still. And so that really hurt us. And then we got a really hard push right there in early or late October, I think right before Halloween. I think Halloween was really cold, if I think I remember right. But we got a really good push there. One of the clubs we take care of, we put a refuge on it this year. And I know you guys don't like it, but we had like 40 acres of flooded corn. We flooded down there.
We've always heard about that.
And we had 40 acres of flooded corn, and he was probably holding on that place probably between 12 to 15,000 mallards the week before season. And then they just scattered. And then the opener, we had an opener, our opening the 2nd of November, shot some ducks right off the bat, mixed bags of everything. And then, man, our mallards scattered and it warmed up immediately. I mean, I think the second day the season's like 70 degrees. And they just scattered. And I really think that when we finished up here last week, we were still shooting the same ducks we had from October.
Yeah.
I really do. The only thing that changed was a couple days before Christmas there, we got a 3-inch rain, and it flooded a bunch of new stuff. And those ducks that were here acted like migrators, or just act like new ducks. That's what they wanted to play. And man, my wife wasn't too tickled, but there, because she's a school teacher and she was out and all the kids were home. But there after Christmas, man, it was, you better had your butt in a blind in a flight path and put your time in, because you were gonna have a chance. And we had some crazy good hunts there after we got that fresh water. I mean, fresh water changes everything. People don't realize like what rain can do to a duck. I mean, even with a warmer temperatures. Now we had some colder temperatures. The teal, holy cow! Like the teal were the savior of this season. Like I can't remember. I kept track of the numbers of ducks we shot, and I can't remember with the amount of green-winged teal we shot was astronomical. I mean, it was insane. And we still got green-winged teal. Like we have right here close to me, we have a refuge north of me. And I had a gentleman out there I knew that had hunted the Great Salt Lake that came and hunted out here. And he's like, the amount of teal that you guys have there is what I've seen at the Great Salt Lake before. Like, or this might've been more teal than what the Great Salt Lake had, which is a crazy teal spot. So that was that. And we had a ton of we still got a ton of pintails, which we never have that many pintails. So I think there's a lot to come. I got some buddies in Nebraska and South Dakota, and they had pockets of birds still last week. So it makes me nervous. These birds there's no pressure up north. I mean, we're done. Everybody north of us is done. They're going to hold. I mean, I hate to tell you guys this out, but I'm afraid they're going to hold tight as long as they can. Now, this cold that's coming is absolutely brutal. I mean, it's ridiculously brutal. I hope they don't hold so tight that they kill themselves. That's my concern. Is they're so much, ducks these days are so pressure driven, that if they know that they'd sooner sit here in a cold than go down south and get banged up and freeze to death. And that's my only concern, because we've changed as hunters. We've changed these ducks. I mean, the mallards don't migrate like they used to on a north wind. There are a lot of not counter migrators, but they come and stay. And we're seeing that with the GPS stuff. I feel like I'm a newer hunter. I mean, I didn't start waterfowl hunting until 2008, but I've put myself with a lot of good people and learned a lot and listened to a lot of good people. And I've just, in this short time I've hunted since 2008, I've seen a lot of change in it. And So I hope you guys get them because you guys need them. I mean,
That's definitely not what I want to hear, that they would rather stay up there and freeze to death than come to where we're
well,
at.
you have to get, this is, I give a lot of people this
That's
analogy
it.
is,
I'm done. I'm throwing in the towel. I'm selling
oh
everything.
my,
I'm out. If they'd rather
don't,
die than come down here, I'm done.
you're going to do like we did. Just sit there for the teal because the teal are coming. They're going to warm your barrels up because the teal are insane and they ain't going to stick around. They're not
No,
going to
they're
stick
not. They're
around.
not going to sit around and freeze to death. Now the mallards may, but
No.
yeah,
Them teal aren't going to, or them pintails aren't either.
that's
So,
right.
um, but I tell them guys, I mean, you got to put an analogy. If you every day you woke up and you walked out of your bedroom and you walked to the bathroom or you walked to the kitchen, somebody shot at you, you're gonna figure out a new way to do it, and you might
Yeah,
stay in that bedroom as long as you have to,
that's
and free
right.
and almost starve to death to live. And so, we gotta remember that we gotta let these ducks rest a little bit. You can't shoot them everywhere. You gotta let them rest.
Yeah. Well, Joe, man, we appreciate you for taking time and going traveling to the school to get good internet to be with us tonight. So
Hey,
we appreciate your wife for letting you be on with us and use her classroom and the internet. And we appreciate you for taking time with us, man.
it's part of living in a rural area. I appreciate the opportunity to get on and visit with you guys. I mean, um, this is it's kind of a dream come true to be working, doing what I'm doing full time now, and to be doing this and get invited on the podcast like this and getting the presence of all these different people in the industry. It's pretty cool to do, and it's a lot smaller community than what we thought. And we got to take care of each other and uh, and look out for each other because we have to all stay together and stick together to keep this train rolling of waterfowl hunting, because
Yeah,
if we don't, someone's going to take it away from us.
that's right. Well, man, again, hope to see you. Will you be at Delta this year?
Yeah, we'll be at Delta. We're going down to, I don't have a booth. We're going down to NWTF in a couple weeks and just going to go down and visit and network a little bit. And then we're going to be at Baton Rouge at Delta. We'll be at Squad Fest in St. Louis. And then I'll pick up any other shows here or there. So, but one thing I do want to market before I jump off here is we're running our end of the year sale right now till the February the 15th. So if anybody is interested in a blind and want to get it at a cheaper price, it's time to get a hold of me right now. Put your name on the books. We our books fill up pretty quick, and so this is the time to jump on and get your blind ordered right now. We're going to try to build an inventory this year, and we try to do that every year, and we have yet to get that chance to build an inventory. So we're gonna try to do that this year, but we just like to get these guys that are interested in a blind right now to go ahead and jump on board and pay their deposits, get their name on the list, and they're gonna make sure they get their blinds here early. So if anybody is interested in a blind, get a hold of me.
Well, if they are, that was our next question. If they are interested in getting a blind or even just talking with you about it to find out maybe if what they're looking for, what you do fits what they're looking for. And so if they want to get a hold of you, what's the best way to get in contact with you?
The best way, social media, Facebook, Instagram, send me a message there. My email is blindspot_outdoors with an S on the end of outdoors @gmail.com. Or, I'm old fashioned. I like to talk on the phone. Call me or text me. My phone number is on our website. That's my personal cell phone number. Call me, text me, and stuff, and figure out. Everybody's got a little different niche, and we try to make everybody's niche work. If you want a full custom blind, we do ask you order before June 1st, and we're only going to take 15 custom orders this year too. So that's another thing too. If you want a custom, you need to get a hold of us sooner than later. But just call, visit. I got a guy that emailed me right before I walked in here. I'm looking at the email right now. He wants me to call me as soon as I get out of here and make an order and wants to visit about what kind of style of blind is going to fit his needs. So
Yeah.
It's why it's fresh in your mind is the time to do it. So yeah, Facebook, Instagram, email, phone,
Yep.
whatever way is going to work. Get a hold of me and let's try to make something work for you guys.
Well, and since your cell phone number's out there, you won't mind me giving it to anybody. So anybody that, we know or whatnot, if you want to get with us, I got his number. I can share it with you and send you over. And
Yep.
we would love to help put you in one of those blinds, because Garrett and I have hunted in one, and it's worth it. It's
It's a Cadillac.
blinds are they're so different. I mean, they're all there's a lot of them so similar, but they're each so different. I mean, and the way that
Oh,
you're
yeah.
doing it is, at least for Garrett and I mean, that's the way we like to hunt. Just like you were talking about with the timber one being able to stand up and this and that. I mean, because whether everybody wants to admit it or not, I mean, of course you can just go hunt any blind, but I mean, is it really set up for what you're trying to do and the style of hunting that you want? Because I think we can all speak for probably every waterfowl hunter that's ever hunted in a blind. You've been in an uncomfortable blind. You
Oh,
just
yeah.
have. And man, yours
I still will be if
are
I'll still be in an uncomfortable blind if that's where the ducks want to be.
that's true. But the thing is that I'm getting at is you don't have to be. You can
No.
order a blind from Joe and get you a not just a comfortable blind, but a good quality,
And we
well
can
made
make it
blind.
whatever way you want.
Yeah.
Make it design. I mean, we've designed different styles and all that. I'm very good friends with the owner, Concealed Comfort, and he builds an amazing pit blind, one of the best pit blinds out there. And he's bought blinds for me because his pit blinds didn't fit his need. He needed to move around. You can't move a
Mhm.
pit every day,
Yeah.
and I got customers that want a pit, and I send them to him.
Well, you
So
don't really need to move a pit, period, because they're a pain in that. You know what?
I've got to move 2 pits this year for a customer on a
Oh man,
P3
that's
manage, so it's going
terrible.
to be fun.
Wow. Well, Joe, man, we appreciate you taking the time and being with us. If you want to find out more about Joe and his blinds and what he offers, give everybody. Is it just Blind
So,
Spot?
yep. So our Instagram handle is Blind Spot Outdoors LLC at Blind Spot Outdoors LLC. Same with Facebook. Our website is blindspot.outdoors.com. And then my email is blindspot.outdoors@gmail. And then, I mean, I ain't scared to say it. My phone number is 660-351-2994. Call me, text me. I mean, my wife won't be happy if you text me at midnight, but um, just call me or text me. And if you're interested in a blind, I mean, we're not that we're slow right now, but it's time for me to visit on the phone and get these guys lined up with blinds and what they want so that we can. I've got 2 guys that work in the shop full time for me now, and get them lined out and keep them rolling on blinds so we can get everybody that wants one of their blind this year.
And if you don't know, what we're talking about, or you haven't seen his blinds, go follow him on social media so you can see exactly what we're talking about. And maybe one of them's exactly what you're looking for. But well, Joe, man, again, we appreciate you taking the time, and I hope if you do any more hunting this year that you kill them all. And I
Well,
hope that some
hopefully
of
these
this
geese
weather.
show up.
I
Hopefully
hope
these
this
Canadian
weather
geese
brings
show up.
some. You can keep all the geese you want. If you could just push some mallards down here for us, we would greatly appreciate it. But
Hey, I'll tell you what, after I think Saturday, I don't know, Sunday it's supposed to be like 4 degrees for the high and -11 for the low. So I don't know. I really don't know what's going to be left. These honkers will stay tight. They'll hunker down and put their heads down and sleep on the ice and eat in the field and stuff like that. And there'll be a couple mallards that do that, but I really think the masses are going to unload and head out. So.
well, Susie's trying to get everybody to call you at 2 a.m., but you probably have
Oh
to
no,
probably have to
that's my
leave a
sister.
voicemail.
That's my sister. She's just trying to poke the bear.
Just stir the pot.
Yep.
But well, man, again, we appreciate you. Go over and check him out at Blind Spot on Instagram, Facebook, everywhere. Blind Spot Outdoors, and check him out. And again, if anybody's listening that knows us, I'll be more than happy to give you his number and let you shoot him a text or a phone call and see if we can get you hooked up with a blind. And so I think that's going to do it for episode 18. And we appreciate Zach Hall, our Arkansas storm tracker, for joining us, giving us the rundown on the bad weather we're going to have tonight. And then, of course, the winter weather that's coming in just a couple of days. It's just who knows what we're going to have next. But we appreciate him. And then, of course, we appreciate you for giving us the rundown on those great duck blinds. And so that's going to do it for us. Make sure you go over and check out all of our sponsors Facebook, Instagram, and their websites. They got a lot of good stuff. We appreciate them so much for helping us put this show on each and every week. And Garrett, man, we've only got 3 more episodes, and season 2 is going to be wrapped up. And so
Winding up, isn't it?
I know you and I are tired. Not necessarily tired of doing the show. That's not what I mean at all. But I mean we're tired from hunting and
We're tired of
working
not
and
killing anything.
so-
Is what we're tired of.
it makes it
You
a
better
lot
get
better
them
when the
barrels
kills start,
warmed
but-
up. It's coming.
But we appreciate you for watching. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, and if you're listening on our podcast sites, we appreciate you. Make sure that you follow us, like us, and subscribe to us to help us keep growing. And we can't grow without you. So we appreciate you for tuning in. That's going to do it for this episode of The Blind. We will see you next week right here live.